Browns continuing preparations for the Bengals here in Berea as they will head to Cincinnati for a huge AFC North showdown on Sunday against Joe Burrow and company. And Mary Kay, we heard from Deshaun Watson today, and he talked specifically about that rust, about the emotions of returning to Houston. And I know that you kind of think those emotions that he felt before that game certainly had to play a role in how he performed.
Yeah, I really think that they do. And he did admit today that it hit him even harder than he thought it would. Everything that was coming at him in Houston. And I think once all of those things are off of his plate and he's in Cincinnati, he will still hear some boos. But I think with so much of that angst and the accusers being there and the Texans owner's wife turning his back on him, I think all of those things took a toll on his performance. He basically admitted that today. I think he will be better in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Ashley, I mean, the way he put it is he's human, and certainly that showed on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think, too, on top of what Mary Kay is saying, I think it's hard when you haven't gone against game speed. You haven't gotten hit in 2 years, basically, in 700 days. I think it was definitely all of that kind of played a factor into his body physically not being able to do what he would in a normal situation or what he was able to do in 2020. So I do think it's one of those things like you're just going to have to work through by getting more game reps.
And Mary Kay, Alex Van Pelt today said that, he talked about taking some things off the menu and adding some things. Now that they've had some opportunity to see how this looks, that kind of helps them moving forward.
It really does. I mean, they didn't know just how rusty he was going to be. And, you can heap more things on his plate if he can handle them. Well, now they know they have to dial it back a little bit, focus on the things that he can do well. Maybe they'll use his legs a little bit more to give him an opportunity to feel comfortable making some of those designed runs and off-schedule plays and things like that. So I think now they have a better idea of what he's up for, and he does too.
Now, someone who has no problem feeling comfortable, especially when it comes to the Bengals, is Greg Newsome. We heard from him today. He was this close to his first career interception on Sunday. Ashley might have had a touchdown if he could have corralled it and gotten up and continued to run. But Greg looked very confident and said that they can still use some of that Jamar Chase stuff over the summer to get going.
Yeah, and especially he's a guy who I asked him about this. He always kind of uses external motivation like that, or trash talk, or social media. He's screenshots saved on his phone. So it was interesting, but yes, Dan, so close to that first career interception that I know by the end of last year he was really jonesing for. I said something to him about it after the game on Sunday. He talked about it again today. I think the problem on that specific play, like he talked about, was he knew the end zone was in front of him and he maybe got a little bit ahead of himself, didn't watch the ball come into his hands.
And Mary Kay, Greg does not back down from talking. Denzel called him probably the biggest talker in the secondary. Denzel Ward did, and Greg kind of just admitted it today. He's probably the biggest talker in that secondary, so he's excited to go against Jamar Chase.
Yeah, he really is. And of course, Jamar Chase did not play on Fright Night in the Browns' big victory on Halloween night. And so these guys are really excited to go against him and try to do what they did to him last year in Cincinnati. When they really rattled him, they shut him down. 2 of Joe Burrow's picks, including the 99-yard pick six, were on passes intended for Jamar Chase. They held him to 6 catches, 49 yards, and they just want to do that again. Can they do it? We will see.
Now, speaking of that 99-yarder, it was Denzel Ward that got it, and good news today, he is back at practice.
Definitely, and that will be huge. They have their full complement in the secondary. That's exactly what you need when you're going against Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and the rest. And they've got all their horses in the back end.
And Ashley, you talked to David Bell today. It sounds like he'll be back on Sunday.
Yeah, David said on that 3rd and 3 play that he exited the game after in their first drive against Houston that he just banged his thumb on the turf, that it was bruised. He's very optimistic he's going to be able to play. And he said he's excited to get out there and get a chance to actually, play longer with Deshaun Watson, that he's really enjoyed kind of catching passes from him in practice and in the summer before Deshaun's suspension started. So I think that's another guy who it's just another weapon like David Njoku that Watson's going to have on Sunday.
And of course, more opportunities are there with Anthony Schwartz going on IR on Wednesday with that concussion. We'll cover everything that happens leading up to the game in Cincinnati and of course during the game at cleveland.com/Browns.